jungle. If he's not the biggest, the elephant is probably one of the biggest. He can't be the fastest because that's a cheetah. He can't be the smartest. So he's not the biggest, the fastest, or the smartest. So how does a lion become the king of the jungle? His mentality. That's the only difference of a lion and an elephant. When a lion walks up and sees an elephant, he thinks lunch. An elephant thinks run. And it's all mentality. Because when a male lion walks up, he may be outnumbered by a pack of hyenas, but I'm king of my jungle because of my mentality.
What happens when you're a gazelle and you're not being pushed, you're not being prodded, you're not given a reward, nobody's encouraging you? What happens when you're a gazelle and the lion's not chasing you anymore? You stop running. But what happens when you're a lion? When you're a lion, it does not make a difference. You realize that if your family is going to eat, that if that pack of lions is to survive, then you gotta go hunt. A part of being a beast just ain't eating a gazelle. A part of being a beast is the hunts. It's the hunt that they're excited about. They like to see the gazelles run. Then boom, they take off. Because real lions like to hunt. They love the process just as much as they love the prize. And some of y'all just want to score. You don't like the process. You're not in love with the process.
A true hunter's goal is not the prize. A true hunter's goal is to hunt. That's what they live for. They live to hunt. They don't just live to catch it. It's the whole process. When you are a true hunter, you don't go by time, you go by the gazelle. When you are a true hunter, you hunt until you get a gazelle, and you don't stop until you get one. And then you get another, and then you get another, and you get another.
If you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do, be what you say you're gonna be, you're gonna have to lion me out. You a gazelle, you're gonna come up short. You a gazelle, you're gonna have an average experience. You a student, I need you in lion mode. You an entrepreneur, I need you in lion mode. You try to lose weight, lion mode. You can't do nothing significant in gazelle mode, nothing. Nothing impressive happens in gazelle mode. Nothing happens in run mode, give up mode, quit mode, scared mode, fearful mode, nothing happens. Everything happens in lion mode like I'm coming to get you.
Can y'all hear me okay? All right. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Is Man's on here yet? He said he wanted to go first, so. All right, I'm gonna get out of this real quick. All right, guys. Tonight is just gonna be a quick, I'm just gonna let these guys talk, and we're gonna save all the questions to the end. Because I value their time, and I think that's why y'all are all here anyway. So let's do this damn thing. Where are we at here? Man's here. Where's he at? All right. Uh-oh, what's up? Man, I don't. I'm in the middle of a call, dude. All right. How do I unmute? Let's see, what is it? NASA? What name are you on here, dude? There he is. And now. All right, guys. Let's see. We got Jake on here. NASA's on here. Let's just go ahead and get started. Trying to see if Man's is gonna be here. What's up, Jake? RockyBTrades in the house. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I'm gonna record it, Chris. Don't worry about it. Let's see. I'm looking for him. All right, guys. Tell you what. What's his name on here? Do you know? Oh, Lorenzo. Okay, gotcha. Let me unmute you real quick. Man. I don't want to take up too much of your time here. There you go. Hey, how's it going, man?
What's
Hey,
going
how
on,
you
man?
doing?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, glad to have you, man.
Cool, yeah.
Let me stop sharing my screen here, and I'll just let you pop it off, dude. Is that all right? If that's all right.
Yeah, man. Any specific topic you want me to go over? You want me to focus more on the swings, or I mean, I can do
Man,
whatever, but
yeah, it's up to you. We just kind of wanted everybody to maybe takes like 5 minutes, something like your maybe it's something you do more often.
yeah,
Maybe like a pretty regular strategy that you use every day.
yeah, man.
That'd be great.
Absolutely. All right. So personally, for me, like lately, I have been playing more like larger time frame things. Like I'm sure you guys have seen, I played the Amazon split run up, and then recently played Netflix. So personally, for me, what's been working is I like to focus on larger time frames. I'll look at candle traps on daily, weekly. So if you guys remember, I'll give you like a quick example, and hopefully that'll kind of paint a better picture, right? So on the 20th of May, we had that big weekly candle trap, right? So if you guys remember, it was the morning that we flushed down super hard on S&P, on QQQ, and we had that big move down into like the 12 or 12:30 hour. And we broke below, I believe, what was the 283 level on QQQ. And it looked like we were going to close under it on the weekly. And then at the end of the day on Friday, we had that big move to the upside. And actually, I think the S&P ended up closing green, and we kind of saw a big rally towards the end of the day, right? So for me, what that signaled, I went back and kind of looked. And the reason that I've been kind of slamming this whole bull run that has kind of happened lately is that day was a monumental day for the market because we trapped shorts. And a lot of people went short that day because they saw the most recent low point breaking on QQQ, SPY, et cetera, right? And what we did is when we closed over those levels on that weekly chart, we actually trapped a lot of people on the short side, right? And so coming into last week, obviously we kind of like, we're a little bit flat red on Monday and Tuesday. And then the snap debacle happened. And I think that was kind of a really nice signal, right? A lot of people went long because it was like, okay, I think tech's probably oversold here. And we had that candle trap on the weekly chart. So for me, really looking at not just, so many people are just focused on the 15-minute or on the, 30-minute or the hourly or whatever. And those can be helpful, but really look for those opportunities where you see people trapped on the wrong side, right? Like this move that we're seeing, last week, right? We had 80% upside volume days, last 3 days of the market. That's not a coincidence that the Friday before you had a massive bear trap, right? And so when you see, and that can work both ways, right? Like, so I'm not a one-sided trader. Everyone thinks, oh, Mans is so bulled up right now. Well, the thing is that I was, you can trade those candle traps on larger time frames the same way, right? Like if they had trapped bulls, then they bring the candle down towards the end of the day and it actually closes sub the key level, right? That's where you can see, okay, well, now that's a really nice bear setup on larger time frames, right? So whether you're swinging or you just have a general bias in your head, it's really healthy to understand those larger time frames because, those are always my biggest trades, right? Like you can trade consistently intraday, and in this market, it is definitely not easy, right? It's a grind, and you have to really be good at your craft, but make sure you're paying attention to that weekly and daily charts and really understanding, okay, like what happened the week before, what happened last week, right? And now we've got this big upside breakout that happened today on the S&P 500 on QQQ, right? But really understanding the source of those moves, that's going to help you incrementally, then using some EMA strategy that you're trying to learn from somebody else, right? Everybody has their own system. And what I think is probably best for especially the newer traders listening to this is really pay attention to those larger timeframes and understand why the trade, why the move is happening that is happening right now. Because in the long run, that's where you're going to make the most of your money and really hit those trades that are, like you can consistently try to do 1-2% a day. That's fine. But at the end of the day, right, if you want to get those much bigger moves, and it's hard in this market, you're going to have to be sized and ready before everyone else is in. And, you know, obviously when you see that on names like, you know, Amazon, Netflix, right? You can use your knowledge of those larger timeframes and where people are getting caught on the wrong side, because the market, and especially this market, guys, is designed to punish as many people as possible at one time. I say that, it's not a joke. This market is cruel. And when you see people caught on the wrong side, that is fuel for the upside move, right? So the reason that this rally is lasting longer than everybody thinks is really, in my opinion, more than likely because of how that weekly candle closed 2 weeks ago. It just shows you that there's a lot to these things, and they do matter, and they do play a part in the moves that we're seeing, right? So that would be, I know it's kind of a little more complex, but it's, you know, it's a starting point for a lot of people, I think.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Of course,
All
man.
right,
You
guys.
guys take it
Yeah.
easy. Have fun.
All right, brother.
All right, brother.
Have a
Take
good
it
one.
easy.
Yes,
You too.
sir. All right. Appreciate him for coming on. See who else we got. Jake, NASA, anyone of y'all want to go next? All right, let's do it, Jake.
What's crack-a-lacking, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Good, good, great, grand, wonderful. So, of course, we had a pretty wild day on SPY. Everybody knows I was balls deep in that, as always. I did post a PDF last night. Of course, you know, what happened, I had said if I, you know, hit a certain amount of followers, I'd post it. And of course I did, and we used it today. A lot of people definitely profited heavily off of it, especially considering on SPY, SPX was a 0 DTE as always every day, but on SPY it was a 1 DTE. So contracts didn't necessarily get to run as hard as they do on 0 DTEs. But of course, we did catch a good upside move around 409 in the buzz. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. And the PDF I had posted was about something called the Dirty 30. So of course, I learned about a moving average that I have been using lately to, of course, you know, gauge moves, see good entry points and everything like that. From there, since I've been using it and back testing it, it has worked beautifully. A lot of people can attest to that. They've seen me on the live, you know, calling plays live and also putting it in the chat, and, you know, they just end up either dying or going. So as you'll see on my screen, this is a position that we took today. I actually believe I swung puts overnight. I think I took them for like 50% tops, and then I sold out of them. It wasn't a you know, amazing trade, but it was definitely, you know, a little cushion overnight. However, I did notice that as we came down to this 407 to 408 demand that we were waking up, people on the bus know that I did take some calls out of this demand with the wick ups, sold up here for about 50%. And of course, that's where that Dirty 30 comes in. So the Dirty 30 is a 30 weighted moving average. And the reason that it's different from your normal moving averages is because it weighs more recent price action. So your EMA is based off of exponentials, and it's not as reactive to price as the WMA. Now, with this said, as you'll see on the chart, once price came up here and it broke, however, rejected that level, and then the next candle died. People took puts once it broke under here and actually took this for another 50%. After this, I wasn't in any trades. However, once it came up to this 409 level, I was waiting for the break with volume over that. Of course, we did get the break with a little bit of volume, and then from there, it continued going on. So from there, I actually scaled out and closed my full position at 57%. However, these contracts did run up to $340 per contract. Now, the biggest thing about this moving average is that it normally, when it's time, lines up with key levels. However, it more or less acts more as a mean, kind of like the 21 EMA. Usually, once you get price action down to that WMA or those EMAs, price is heavily reactive to it. So whether it breaks it or it is, you know, it bounces off of it, it is going to react heavily and with a big move, kind of like with consolidation. But as you see here, of course, price cracked over that as well as a 23.6 Fibonacci level. If anybody knows anything about Fibonacci's, they know that 0, I believe, and 100, as well as 88, 79, and 70.5 are all rejection levels. However, the others are consolidation levels, especially the golden pocket. So with that said, once we broke over this consolidation level at 23.6, we went through the rejection level of 38.2 and continued on until, like I said, we broke the golden pocket and continued on up over the 100% retracement. So from there, I mean, does anybody have any questions? That's mainly what I wanted to cover was how I utilize this today, of course, to take a trade that I took for 57%, but others, of course, you know, took for much more. I think some people took it for over 300% on SPX. Let's see.
We're moving right along here,
Yeah,
guys.
this-
So if y'all want to DM him some questions right here in the chat, we can go ahead and answer them
Absolutely.
real quick. Whatever.
Yeah.
I could always put together a list of Q&A at the end as well. I don't want to keep everybody too long. So yeah, Diamond's coming after his space call, guys.
Definitely, but I mean, I will go back to what Man said right quick before anything else is that, you know, normally don't try to just chase trades, wait for the levels to come, whether it's your 30 WMA break, whether it's a Fibonacci break, whether it's a demand or supply zone break. One of these things, or a lot of these things will come together to build confluence, and that's why it's considered a key level. Once that either rejects or breaks from that level, it will react heavily and you will get either paid or crushed. But yeah, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter or put it in the DMs, and I'll be happy to answer you.
Dude, thank you, man. That was awesome. Seems like this strategy's it's like really killing it now. This strategy's working well for you, man.
Another thing is another reason I did it is I don't want to be stuck, because I used to be the person with like 7 different EMAs on my chart. And I always got stuck with analysis paralysis. You know, if it breaks below the 8, then I'll wait for the 21. If it breaks below the 21, I'll wait for the 55. And it just kept me out of trades and faked me out of good trades. So with that said, I wanted to limit what I had on my chart. That way, you know, I have 5 different points that can be used. As long as I have 3 of those that line up, I'm going from there.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you.
Absolutely. If y'all need anything, just feel free to reach out. More than happy to help.
Appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
Hey, NASA, you feel like you're ready to talk at all, or should I move on to the next guy? What do you think? Still eating dinner? Hey, let's roll, baby. You can't do audio right now, or what? Damn. Well, that's helpful. Oh, hang on a second. I guess I gotta unmute your ass, huh? That's my bad.
Yo, can you hear me?
You're good, Bubba.
There we go. So yeah, no, I mean, it's actually pretty cool, bro. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to make it. And I was hoping that, you know, other people would be here. Can you see my screen?
I don't know if are you sharing it right now, or?
Let me do that.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate it. I'm sure
know,
everybody's gonna love it.
Trying to share the screen real quick. There we go, bro. Figured it out. All right, bet. You can see the stock charts right now, right?
Yep.
So let me see. Can you also see this NASDAQ one or no? It's still showing you stock charts.
It's on some website, brother.
All right,
I don't know.
All right, just making sure. So I'll show you because I figured right now, I'll go over the flush, the IV flush, because a lot of people, I figure that's what they want to hear, want to talk about. So I'll show you an example of that flush with MongoDB today. So a lot of people, when they talk about, you know, how do you do it? How do you know which way it's going to go? The first step in finding the flush is you got to evaluate the earnings, right? Was earnings good or bad? And that's an important thing. So for me, MongoDB has good earnings. Obviously, everybody who knows how I trade, the 8 and 21 EMA shows your active sequence, so blah, blah, right? It's above the 8 and 21. It's in a short-term uptrend. But they have good earnings coming into today, and they're up about, it was about 7% at the time. You know, they opened up about 7%, and the 300 calls opened down around 70 cents, right? They ended up running towards 2.5, and that's all the way to the 300 calls. So they were 70 bucks, or they were 5 cents, excuse me, at the low, and they ran to, you know, 250. So from low to high of the day, they went from $5 to 250. Obviously, we ended up getting around 45 to 70 on the bus, and they ended up running to 250. Now, the first step is, you know, you have to understand, is the earnings report good, right? So MongoDB is a software company. It's similar to CRM to an extent. So I'm already thinking, and I say it off open, you know, I think we could get a MongoDB type CRM type move where we open strong on Mongo up 7%, but we gap because I know how Mongo moves. So off open, I look at the premiums and I know that these things are looking pretty nice, and you get this massive volume. The first bar, obviously on the 10-minute into open, is a sell-off, but you see them buy that dip up, right? So wicks up, and then the next candle, you get this massive volume node. And that's where the simplicity comes in, right? You follow the volume. And I could see right here, if you look at that candle, relative to all the other candles but open, which got bought up, massive volume most of the day. So I see great earnings. I see volume, buyer step in, wick it up off open. And then the next candle, you get the massive flag and it just breaks out all day. And on a shorter time frame, you know, it's even more evident how crazy that volume is right here, right? So you can see that buyers stepped in, they bought the dip. And when that happens, you get that flush, right? So even though it was up 7% into earnings, people are just trying to get out of that contract. I say it in the video I've made about the IV flush, right? One man's trash, another man's treasure. You're just trying to get out of there. When you pay, you know, when you paid up to $6, $7, right? Because this is 600. So you paid about $6 to $7, so $600 to $700 the day before. This is the IV crush, right? Where you get the run up. And then that's the flush. So it's not like the stock did anything into earnings, but because people were buying it, riding the IV and all the Greeks to the upside, the premiums went crazy, not necessarily the underlying equity. So then you get the flush. And this is what happens. You get these worthless calls that nobody wants on the second, and they go down to $5. We ended up getting them. I don't know if you can see. Can you see this? The Twitter? But if you can see the Twitter, you'll see 70 cents to 420.
Yeah, we can see it.
So like a bunch of people were able to destroy this trade, right? 368%. He took the 280. So it really comes down to following this volume, because a lot of people don't understand. The first step to it is just understanding were earnings good or bad. If earnings are good, and there's a similar, you know, stock in the market that's gone into earnings recently, like CRM. What did that stock do? It opened up 6, 7, 8%. Yeah. And then what happened? It ran about 12. So CRM did this yesterday. What happens today? You know, people get out of their position because they think they lose the trade. And what happens? Buyers step in. You can see these 3 minutes, right? Look where it bottoms out, same level on the wicks. Buyers step in, next candle absolutely rips on volume accumulation, and you go for a ride. And those calls go from worthless to worth a whole bunch because people sell them off. This is the crush where everybody bought into earnings gets crushed or they sell out. And this is the flush into the next day. And those things go from worthless to worth a whole bunch. And like you see, I mean, it's just one of those things where, are the earnings good? You know, is there a reason to be buying this? And what do you think? Like all three of these, you'll see MDB, Chewy, GME, these are all 124% to 500% almost. And those are all earnings plays. So I have a thread on it, and I have 2 YouTube videos that goes a little bit more in depth, but I figured that's something you guys would probably want to talk about. And this is a little thread right here. If you guys follow the Twitter, you guys could see a bunch of them. Every morning I drop the pre-market, you know, like what I'm looking for and what I think it can do, like MDB, right? So I kind of tell you what I think it can do, 280 call I'm watching, you know, and it's something super simple. It gets overcomplicated. The first steps, figure out where the earnings report's good or bad. What are the price targets doing? You know, like are analysts like moving it? What are they doing to it? And then what's the volume doing? Clearly, sellers stepped in off open, just getting out the position. They were scared. Wicked down to that same level on the previous candle. Buyers step in with heavy pressure, and they send it to the stratosphere. And those go from worthless to worth a whole lot, you know. And it literally didn't stop all day. I mean, this after that sell-off off open, I mean, it literally didn't stop all day. And they went to 286, they hit 290. And I mean, that's part of the reason I always post like where I think it could go, right? 290, right? Yeah, 290. So it's super simple. And if you want a little bit more detail, I got those things. I got 2 YouTube videos. So bad earnings, similar action. Yeah, same thing for bad earnings. Bad earnings, if the earnings are bad and you see, you know, volume come into the downside, and as long as there's enough meat on the bone, right? Because it's all about risk reward. I always talk to premiums on the ranges. If the risk reward isn't there because it's so beat up off the earnings report, I will stay away. But if it's bad earnings and it's up 3%, you know, I'll happily buy puts on it if the volume allows it. But it all comes down to what did the report say, what are analysts doing, and what's the volume doing? And if the risk reward is there, it makes sense. I'll take it. And I mean, like I said, we did that with Chewy, we did that with NVDA. We've done it with literally every name possible, because you guys have to stop gambling. Like, that's what I think a lot of people forget. Like, this isn't a place to gamble, guys. You know, like, this is your hard-earned money. This is a place to make wealth. You shouldn't be gambling. And like I said, these are all, like, you could have taken any of these names into earnings and probably been down. You probably would have lost on those trades, right? But like you see, take them 260 to 6, take them $14 to 55, take them 70 to 420. But if you took those into earnings, you would have been one of these guys who took them into earnings and got fucking crushed. So it all comes down to knowing what is actually happening, because you have to understand, into earnings, a lot of people are simply there to collect premium. They're here to sell the contracts and just net as much premium and take as much profit as they can. So you don't want to get caught in the crush. What I always like to do is play the flush. And I have 2 YouTube videos that kind of goes over it a little more. And I kind of just want to hop on here and kind of figure that's what you guys want to hear. When do you know call or put? When do you know when the call put price is truly flush? Yeah, so you have to wait for them to settle, right? Because a lot of the times on earnings, the premiums won't settle, right? So like when you first get in the morning and the market opens, they won't settle. So you'll see them real volatile, mid, bid, ask. They're real like spready. They don't know what they're going to do until a couple of people put some bids in. But like, that's why I always say what I'm looking for and what I think they can do. And it comes down to knowing, I've played MongoDB. I know what it can do. I know what potential it has. I know that those 300 calls are typically $6, $5, you know, on a Thursday or a Wednesday. So I see it and I say, okay, yesterday they're 600. On the 31st, they were 600. Today, they're 5 cents. Good earnings, price target upgrades, volume coming in. Slap the ass, right? Like, I'll buy that. So just wanted to hop on here. AI, I appreciate you, bro. Definitely some you guys start doing more of than everybody else. I mean, Jake, Mans, and everybody else who's coming on here, bro. Definitely, I'll stick around and hear what they have to say for sure, because I could always learn some shit.
Man, I appreciate you being here, man. Your strategy is just so unique, and I don't see anybody else doing it. And I'm just so blessed to have you here, man. It's awesome. One thing I'll say, guys, that just to kind of add on to this whole earnings conversation before we move on, I'm gonna let Diamond go next. But you know, I've been investing for about 15 years, and I will tell you that going from a fundamental investor to a trader, we are in a market that is entirely relies on sentiment. A company could beat on earnings in every way and not move an inch, and then you get crushed. Or it could, you know, for some reason, oddly, it runs, you know, and then you get crushed the other way. So what he's saying is earnings plays are gambles. They are absolute gambles in this market. And we're in a bear market, and we're in a bear market rally at the moment. So his strategy is absolute butter for the market we're in. I just wanted to add on to that. But Diamond, let me get you unmuted, man. All right, you should be good.
Yo, can you hear me?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
What's good, bro?
Glad to have you, man. Did you have your space calls? How was it?
It was asked. Nobody could join. Alejandro was like sick or something. Literally everybody's sick. We all went to the beach, and I feel like everybody got sick except for me. I'm the last one trucking.
Just all hungover.
Still, I would hope not. I would hope not. off the Bud Lights, I would have to make fun of them. I think that they're good, but I think they're just feeling a little under the weather. I wanted to, before I even go, actually, I wanted to first say NASA's Ivy Flush YouTube videos. I checked them out when he put them out. Definitely recommend watching them if you haven't already. He really does go into, like, the detail that he just gave us, goes into much greater detail and really gives you an understanding of what exactly he's looking for on those plays. And so, like Byron said, he such a unique strategy, right? I've never seen anybody else sort of play that strategy. And so definitely something new, definitely something to add to your trade I guess, chest if you haven't already. But yeah, go check those out. Okay, am I allowed to share my screen, do you think?
Yeah, you can share. Go ahead.
Okay.
Kick us off.
Let's see. Can you say?
You're golden.
What does that mean? Oh, okay. I thought you meant the screen's gold.
I mean, it means you're good to go.
Yeah, no, I got you. All right, so I'm going to talk about NVIDIA today. This is a play that I took today and one that I'm looking for tomorrow. And so a lot of you guys here obviously are in the Discord. You know, I like to use Fibonacci retracements and EMAs intraday to try and find high risk reward setups. Obviously, additionally using unusual whales flow. I'm also looking for momentum. I'm looking for names that once something catches a bid, right, you really have to wait for that first pullback. And I think this goes for whether it's on the daily chart or whether it's on the 5 minute or the 10 minute, whatever it is that you're trading off of. I think that first pullback is really your best opportunity to get in, because after that, you get some fuckery, you know, with the pullbacks. You'll get, oh, here's my level of support, you'll add and it'll knife through, right? Or something like that. And it just becomes much more complicated, in my opinion, to play that second, third, fourth pullback. So that first pullback, whether you're trading a trend on the 5 minute, trading a trend on the daily, is really the one that you want. NVIDIA gave us that pullback over the last 2 days, right? We had a nice double bottom down here in the 150s, in the 150 zone. Obviously, buyers stepped in and pushed us higher. This break over your 821 EMAs, it was your first signal that you know, there's some serious strength there and it's worth watching. Over the next 2 days, you can see obviously we pulled back as the market was pretty shitty yesterday. And we were able, though, to ultimately hold this 183.50 support, right? So you can see we kind of create like a W formation here. And this is literally a textbook, I guess, example of how this formation would work, right? How this chart pattern works. So you want to see your double bottom, you have a bounce in the middle. So that's kind of like the middle of your W. You break out over the middle of your W, and then you retest, break hook and go, as Mo likes to say, Mo Mamba, break hook and go off that level. And that's exactly what NVIDIA did today, right? So let's go ahead and go into the 5 minute, and I'll show you guys the trade that I took and the trade that I want to take, or that I did take for tomorrow. So where are we? Here's the open. I was honestly watching NVIDIA at the open for a close over this 185 level. If I could get that in addition with maybe some flow or some bullish sector, like the rest of the sector, AMD, you know, TSM, MU sort of running, that would make me comfortable. And I ultimately missed this this breakout here because I was staring at QQQ. I ended up taking that to the long side, which worked out, but obviously not as well as NVIDIA, right? Thing went, what did it close up, like 5.5%, 6%, closed up 6.9% today, Jesus. Okay, so after I missed this initial run, a lot of people like to say, I missed it, on to the next one. I leave it on the back burner and I'll say, okay, what happens when stocks rip? Usually they don't rip the entire day. MDB is a good example of one that just absolutely ripped the entire day, zero pullbacks. But usually stocks will consolidate a little bit and then they will go. And so what I'll do is I'll wait for this consolidation, which we got right here. I also, at this time, after I'm seeing the consolidation, I'm seeing the bullish pennant form, I'm saying, okay, I think that if we can break this consolidation, if we can break this flag, we can continue to head higher. Particularly at the time, I want to go to, what is this, like 1050? Let's go to QQQ at the time. I take a look at QQQ, 1050 on Qs. I literally see us breaking over high a day. I see us showing a lot of strength coming up to previous resistance from yesterday, right? So I've got that as an additional level of conviction. I've also got unusual whales flow. I'll pull up the flow that I was seeing for this trade. If I can spell unusual, I will get that for you guys. again, when I use unusual whales, this is primarily how I use it. I'm using it to add levels of conviction to these trades, right? So I want to trade NVIDIA long. I know that, you know, for whatever reason, for me today, it was that W formation, that support down at 180. Those are the primary reasons for me. And then I will come into the flow and I will go to single leg only, today's trades only, over $1,000 premium, over $100,000 premium, max 100 days to expiration. So these are today's trades. I took that trade at 1050. So this would have been the last thing that I saw before I took that trade. So I come in on unusual whales before taking this trade, and this is what I see, right? 100,000, 200,000, 400,000 prints coming in on these calls. You know, a lot of them in the money, repeatedly smacking the 180s. These are zero DTEs in the 180s that we see repeated activity in. We see some 200s coming in as well. And so after looking at the chart and already saying to myself, okay, I think that NVIDIA, you know, has a chance to get this second leg higher here, I come in and I see this on unusual whales. That's only adding more conviction to my trade. And so what I did was I took, let me go back to NVIDIA. I took the 192.5 calls. Yeah, 192.5 calls here on this 80 EMA test into the flag break. Once we got the flag break, scaled it high a day for I think like 30-ish%. And then I scaled again for about 60%, I want to say, up here. The cons wound up running 170% obviously on the day with this massive from the entry. I think they were up like 400% from open, but up 100% from entry, 170% from entry at the peak with the strength that we're seeing in NVIDIA today. And so on this breakout, right, after I took that first initial trade, I was looking for something to take into tomorrow, right? We had a massive ripper today. And I felt that after yesterday in the market, I think that a lot of people got scared, right? And so what happens when people get scared? They buy puts and they sell their longs, right? And now today we have a 3% ripper in the indices. You're gonna have shorts getting absolutely smoked today, and you're gonna have people who sold the last 2 days on the weakness now looking to FOMO back in, right? Which only creates additional buying volume for tomorrow. And so I wanted to get long something. NVIDIA was a top candidate again because of the W formation on the chart and the unusual whales flow that I was seeing. I was able to, I think I grabbed small 200 calls that expire tomorrow. So basically a lotto on this candle here after we had held the support like at 72. They closed up, I think 50%. They were up 50% at some point. I took some off the table. Obviously, we got a pretty strong rally to the close. Took some off, and I'll see what happens to the rest. I think that we can, on the daily chart, 200 is obviously going to be like psychological resistance, but over that, I think that we've got room to 204. And so when I'm taking a lotto trade, right? When I'm taking, and this goes back to what NASA just talked about gambling, right? Is that when you're taking a trade, there's going to be trades where you can see the upside, but if you're being realistic with yourself, it's unrealistic, right? I would like NVIDIA to go to 204 tomorrow. That would be like another 4 or 5% day, which is definitely doable for them. But at the same time, the chances of NVIDIA having another 5% day tomorrow after today is just unlikely. Doesn't mean it's impossible though. So what I did was found a nice risk reward entry at support intraday, and I already took some off the trade. So worst case, tomorrow we gap down or something, which I think we're up in after hours, but worst case we gap down tomorrow. And I will have secured at least half profit at 50%. I think the worst, if the trade went to zero, I think I would lose 25% net. But if the trade works and it goes to 204, obviously options, your call price is going to be what? Spot minus strike. That'll be 204 minus 200, $400 per con, up from 72. That's like a 400 and change, 440% gain. And so I'm risking now at this point that 25% downside for a 400% gain on the upside. I like that risk reward. Again, it doesn't mean that it's likely. For the reasons that I stated, I think that it's possible. And that's what made me feel comfortable kind of grabbing that one. And so that's my framework around any lotto that I'm taking is, look, I'm looking for something to happen. It's the probability of it happening is unlikely, right? That's what we're doing. We're trading probabilities. The probability of NVIDIA going to 204 tomorrow is not high. But at the same time, if it does, I'm going to make 400% of the trade, right? And so that's why I'm going to take small size. I'm going to add its support, take some off before the close. And then if it goes, great. If not, on to the next, right? And so that's kind of the framework. I think when people see us take lottos, and not even just us, right? Anybody really on FinTwit, you see, you know, somebody took a play into earnings, you know, went 10,000%, right? Anybody who had Snap wasn't earnings, but anybody who had Snap overnight, or anybody who played Facebook, right? You wake up and everybody has their 2,000% Weevil cards. Look how good I am at trading. And you think that, like, you know, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my entire portfolio into one of these trades that's unlikely to hit. But if it hits, you know, I'll make 100K and I'll quit my job. And realistically, that's exactly that thought process right there is exactly how you get fucked. So you don't want to take these sort of trades, the one that I just described, with massive size, thinking, okay, NVIDIA's going to go to 204 tomorrow, and, you know, I'm going to go buy a new Benz after the close, right? I'm taking size to where if it hits for 400%, I'm going to get paid handsomely. And if it doesn't, I'll take a 25% hit and I can live with it. So that's just kind of the framework that I like to use, and something I would recommend.
That was awesome, man. Hey, let me ask you a question on this trade. Besides the consolidation into the EMA, what other, I guess, points of confluence did you have to give you confidence to enter this trade? Because it seemed like it just ripped right off of that channel that you drew.
Yeah, this one here.
What gave you the most confidence besides what you see right there? I mean, you entered the trade,
Right.
you used the volume shelf. Did you spring off of that? What else did you do?
I actually did not use the volume shelf. So I don't use TrendSpider intraday, to be completely honest. I use it for my Twitter charts. I use TOS intraday, where I have my volume like on the bottom, like regular people. So I watch volume that way. I don't really use volume shelves intraday. I use them more like on a daily time frame thing when I'm studying charts at night. But for this particular trade, I liked the fact that NVIDIA was showing significant relative strength, right? So at this point, where are we, 1050? Look at this NVIDIA chart from open, which is right here, to 1050, right? And then let's go look at SPY on the 5 minute. So what did SPY do over that same period of time? Here's 930 and here's 1050 right here, right? So from 930 to 1050, SPY looks like dog shit, right? There's absolutely nothing going on. It's just weak, right? And you see NVIDIA showing absolute relative strength. So to me, that means that if the market can move higher, those names that are showing relative strength are going to be the first ones to go, right? So I think another good example was, maybe it was Roblox. Let me check. Roblox is a good one. So Roblox had relative strength this morning, right? Absolute ripper off the open, barely breaks the EMAs all day. So when the market ultimately decided to go at what, like 1050, Roblox went another 5%, right? Think closed up 13% today. So that's what I like to do is, okay, if the market is going to go, right? If the market is going to bounce here, which it was looking like it was going to, these names that are showing relative strength are going to be the ones that head higher. And so that's probably the first thing that put NVIDIA on my mind, that trend consolidation framework, where I'm recognizing the trend and I'm waiting for consolidation and I'm waiting for a resumption of the trend. I was seeing that consolidation, so that was probably conviction number 2. The EMA hold on the candle prior right here was probably conviction number 3. And then conviction number 4 was the extremely bullish flow that I was seeing on unusual whales. So 4 levels of conviction for that one. Yeah, which made me feel confident taking it. That's a great point, right? Is that you want to stack as many levels of conviction really as possible on top of your trades. It's going to make you not only select for better trades. And so when I say that, I mean, you're going to stop taking the bullshit trades, like those ticky tack. I used to love doing this. I would say, no, I'm just scalping this, right? I'm just scalping this. So, if I take a loss on it because it was a stupid trade and I shouldn't have been in it anyways, I'm giving myself an out, right? Mentally. I'm saying, oh, I lost that trade, but it was just a scalp. I only took a paper cut, not a big deal. But what happens is you usually, when you say that to yourself, it's usually because in the back of your head, it's a dog shit trade, right? You're just lying to yourself to make it okay after you lose, right? And so cut that out just completely. And the way that you can do that is saying, okay, do I have 3 or more levels of conviction for this trade? If I don't, it doesn't get taken, right? No more scalps, no more, oh, I think this looks good here. No more of that, right? Like actually use your levels of conviction, take multiple things into account, and then take your trade with confidence. It's going to help you not only to the upside, selecting better trades, but also to the downside if your play doesn't necessarily rip immediately. Like this one, like I really couldn't have had a better entry except if I played it off the open. But the plays that go down, those levels of conviction will allow you to not immediately sell, right? Unless obviously you hit your stop loss, something like that. But it allows you to stomach a little bit more downside as well. So yeah, great point. Definitely stack levels of conviction as much as you can.
Fantastic, man. I really appreciate you coming on, dude. That was awesome. And that was absolute
Yes, sir.
butter.
No problem.
Nice trade.
Absolute butter. Yes, sir.
Doesn't get much better than that, dude. All right.
Yes.
Cool.
For sure.
If you have any questions, Diamond's, he's got his Twitter account. Kane Capital's got their YouTube page going on. I mean, the Discord's open for y'all if you want to join. I'm sure he'll be happy to help you out. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have any questions, just shoot me a DM. My DMs are open.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm gonna kind of move it along a little faster here. I didn't realize what time it was, but I don't want to keep y'all too late. But Rocky, you wanna knock us up? You wanna kick us off, man? Let me get you unmuted real quick. This is RockyBTrades, everybody. And I just want y'all to know, everybody that came on this call today is very, very popular on Twitter, very popular on FinTwit. I mean, these guys are big time. So I really, really appreciate y'all coming on.
Yo, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing tonight?
What's up, buddy?
Can you hear me well?
Whenever you're ready. Yeah, you're doing good.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
All right, sweet. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. 1 second. One second.
Should be at the bottom, the green button.
Yeah. Just trying to figure this out. Okay. Is my screen being shared?
I see a Twitter thread right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I
Yes,
want to go
sir.
ahead and talk about quickly, just my favorite style of trading. It's what's maybe really, my most profitable strategy, I would say, and that has to be news. News is one of my favorite styles just because it pays quickly. It fits my personality. It's really good for scalps, and it gives me an edge, and that's why I like to take news trades. So it's a very simple process, and I recommend adding this if you're a new trader. It's not a hard strategy to learn at all. So basically, you need to follow a couple news accounts. I recommend Fast Stock News, Delta One's okay, and Oracle NYSE. It's another news source I follow. I turn on their notifications, and basically how you trade news depends on the headline. A bullish headline is things like stock buyback programs, FDA approvals. If a CEO of a company or hedge fund manager is buying a lot of shares, that can move the stock to the upside pretty quickly, especially if it's a famous hedge fund manager or, somebody on CNBC, perhaps. So I have a couple examples on my Twitter. Here was one of my trades that I had. This was all the way back in January, but I have a couple more examples I can go over. But basically, the news headline was that Rivian is ramping production, and this is a speculative company, and production means a lot because they've got a long way to go in that sense. So as soon as the news drops right here at 63, I kid you not, if you look at the volume here, the stock spiked $5 in a matter of minutes. So a $5 move on a stock in 10 minutes, it's very efficient. That's going to move your contracts. So I took calls on that, and as a result, I got 100%. Now let's go talk about a bearish type of headlines. So the bearish headlines include halts of production, CEOs leaving the company, a big hedge fund manager going short, Jim Canos, Bill Ackman, those are good ones. Company getting investigated by the SEC, that's a huge one. Somebody getting sued, production recall, those are great examples. Peloton was one that I had in January. And if you just look at this news, guys, I mean, Peloton suspends their production, right? And Peloton drops $6. I mean, your options are going to go anywhere from 200 to 500% in a matter of minutes. The stock actually halted down, and I was able to catch a really nice win on it. So basically what I'm just saying is news gives me a clear edge and allows me to make money in an efficient manner. And it's a proven strategy. It's worked for me. I've been doing it for over a year, and I would say I do trade technicals as well. But news is definitely my go-to because I've had the most success with it, and it fits my personality. It allows me to stay in the trade for no longer than 10 minutes because you get a big move on the stock. So overall, you know, news forces algorithms to buy or sell the underlying stock on heavy volume, changes the sentiment of a stock. The IV increases, which is great for your options, and the Greeks on your options also become favorable since the stock is moving quickly in one direction. So I can go ahead and just show one quick other bearish example. This was 3 weeks ago on NVIDIA. I call these my Rocky recaps, but huge news. This is a 0 DTE, and NVIDIA right here was 185, right? We opened at 185. They're getting investigated by the SEC. You know, it hits the news scanners, and what happens? Stock goes from 185 to 179.90, basically a $5 drop in 3 minutes. And guys, a $5 drop in 3 minutes on a 0 DTE on NVIDIA, I mean, that's just asking, like, that's just going to make you a ton of money. And literally that was my only trade for the day. And I sized up heavier on it, but that's because I knew I had an edge. So overall, I made about 60%. But if I know I have an edge, that's when you size up. You don't want to be sizing up when, you know, you don't have an edge. Or in that sense, you are gambling. Activision, I've had. So, yeah, I have examples. I'll go over, this is a bullish example I had with the chart. So I was down big on the day. I think I was down 1,400, and this was a huge news play. It literally bailed me out. But if you read the headline right here, McDonald's and Beyond Meat say the McPlant burger will become a permanent menu item. Now that's huge. And at the time, Beyond Meat was a $36 stock and went all the way to $47.4. That's a $12 move, or a 25% move on the underlying stock. So, you know, permanent menu item, that's huge because Beyond Meat has a $2 billion market cap. McDonald's has a $185 billion market cap. You would think in the back of your mind, if Beyond is permanently on McDonald's menu, that's huge. And what did the market think? The same thing. This is why it caused a ton of volume. If you look at the 15-minute, two big bullish engulfing candles. And as a result, I was down on the day, but Beyond Meat saved me out because I found my edge and I executed when the news presented itself. So that's basically all I have to say. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM me. I love helping you guys out. It's a pleasure being on here. There's a ton of great traders on here. And yeah, I'm really excited for the rest of this year. And I'm looking forward to just learning from everyone on here because everybody has a strategy that they're good at. And it's good to always add a new tool to your toolbox because the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more ways you can make money. So
Harley, no.
that being said, yeah, that's all I got. So
Sorry about that, guys. I got a mean ass dog over here. Thanks, Rocky. I appreciate it, man.
yeah, of course, guys.
Hey, real quick before we move on, NASA, I think he wants to cover the sympathy plays on that. I mean, anytime news happens, a lot of times other stocks will run. You want to help us out with that, brother? NASA, you on here? There you go.
Yep, you can hear me?
Yeah, appreciate it. I think it's perfect timing because you're really famous about this sympathy stuff and he's going off of news. I would love to hear what you got to say about that.
All right, here I
Yeah.
should be good now.
Good to go.
Yes. So I guess in terms of news, we share the screen. So in terms of news sympathies, it's the same as any other sympathy, but it really comes down to having your, that says stores, which should say retail, but I was being cheap. But like you need to have just a list of names that move with what, and they're not always, they're not always going to be names that are in the same sector. Like for example, today I could probably pull up Roblox. Like if I pull up Roblox like Diamond did, you'll see that it had that massive, for 15% day, right? And you'll see it on the daily what it did, right? And if I pull up a firm and Upstart, I haven't even looked at these today, guys, like since I got on here, you see the same similar chart, right? These aren't even the same sector. These aren't even the same thing, but Upstart, Roblox, and a firm, just off how they trade in their price action, you see these charts? That's Roblox. This is Upstart. Same exact pattern. Let's see what a firm looks like. This is me not even checking a firm. Very similar price action, very similar chart. So I know if I see, Roblox ripping, I'm immediately going Upstart and a firm. Just because how they move together in sympathy, right? It's like if I see PayPal ripping, I'm going straight to Square and SoFi because those things move together, right? Like today, Square had news about Apple. So Rocky actually said, we played the Square 95s, right? And those things were $8, and those things went from $8 to I think 30, right? So intraday, they get that Apple news. So a way to show the sympathy on Apple news, right? I think it was around here probably, because this is 4 o'clock, probably the mid-afternoon, they get that news about they're going to do their touch to pay or tap to pay, whatever it is. And they go from $9 on the 95s to, like 32 or something crazy. But if you look at PayPal, Rocky says, yo, look at PayPal. It's a sympathy. And what happens at the same time? You get this pop, the same exact time. It's because they're in the same sector. They're both fintech. They both move together. They're correlated stocks. They're correlated names. So, we see Square moving. Clearly, you see the volume pour in right here, and it doesn't stop, right? So we see Square rips on news. Like Rocky and me, we love news. News plays are very, very sensitive. But if you know what you're doing and how to execute them, I mean, look at the time Square rips on news, what happens with the volume, right? And then look at PayPal. So we play Square, get a couple, I think what was it, like 160%. I think Rocky got, and some people on the bus got 200, something like that within minutes. And then you see the same exact time at 5:30, PayPal does it, right? That's PayPal, this is Square. Same exact time the rip happens on Square, PayPal, the sympathy name, decides to rip with it. That's simply knowing the sectors, right? Yeah, same thing with GameStop, GPS, which is Gap. When we played Gap a couple weeks ago, when Gap had news the other day, what did we do? The people who weren't in Gap, they went straight to JWN. Like myself, I played JWN, and I took those calls because it was actually an IV flush when JWN had earnings and was good earnings. They opened, and I think it was the 25s I was in. Those things ended up going, I think, like 500%. But the reason that it had that massive move was because GPS had news that came out. Or no, excuse me, it was KSS that had news that came out about the activist chatter. So what happened to all the retail names? JWN, which I was in for the flush, ended up going from like $9 or $10 to like 50 or something on the day because KSS had news about activist chatter. So people who didn't get in JWN or KSS went straight to Macy's and Gap. The reason is they're all correlated names in the same sector. It's like if I see Costco ripping, I'm going to BJ, I'm going to Target, and I'm going to Walmart. If I see Home Depot's ripping, I'm going straight to Lowe's. If I see PayPal's ripping, I'm going straight to Square and vice versa, like today with the news play, because Rocky just touched on news. We played this news play today, literally from about $9 to 30. On Square News, like I said, in PayPal with no news, look at the volume. This is a higher 10-minute time frame. So you see the same exact, 5:30, which is what, 2:30 or 3:30 at 3:30, right? But if I go a lower time frame, you'll really get an idea of this volume right here, right? So that goes in sync and in tandem with Rocky's, and my strategy of playing the news, right here at 5:30, 15:30, which is 3:30. You see that massive Square News and it rips, you get that candle, and then you get a massive volume node all the way to close. And what happens? The sympathy play with no news gets the same exact volume at the same exact time. And those things go from 23 to 80. Those things go 23 to 80. And then another cheat sheet is, you have all these, like I personally love stock charts because I could see all these things, together. Fuck it if you know my name, I guess, whatever. But, I could see all the sectors together. And I could kind of, pick and choose which one I like, which one I'm looking at, what sector I'm looking at, SLB. If SLB goes, I look at HAL, right? It all comes down to knowing what moves with what, because not all the time, guys, not all the time that you're looking at a chart, it's because, like, for sympathy, they're in the same sector. Like, last time I'll show you this, but, right, Diamond just talked about Roblox. Look at the date. Just look at the daily on Roblox. Literally just look at this daily chart, right? Very similar play, right? Roblox. Then you go Upstart. Look at Upstart's chart. What do you see in that chart? Do you guys see that? That's two completely different names and one's a game and one's a loan company, right? And then you go Affirm, which moves with it. And it's a little shakier, a little different, but very similar. And I bet you if I go to SoFi, I would almost guarantee you it's very, you see? I didn't even look at SoFi. Do you see what I'm saying? SoFi, same thing, same exact chart setup. So it comes down to knowing what moves with what. It doesn't always have to be the same sector like Lowe's and Home Depot or Costco, Walmart, Target, BJ, or KSS, GPS, and JWN. Like, it doesn't always have to be the same sector. But you have to know that things move with each other. And when I always say, when the dog moves, the tail wiggles, right? So if I see NVDA going, I'm watching AMD, MU, Marvel, so on and so forth. Because when the leader in the industry goes, which is the dog, the tail is going to wiggle. And I've made a video about sympathy plays on my YouTube. And, that Square one is really just exemplifies what Rocky was just talking about. Last time I showed, guys, this is Square. And you could literally see, this is where the news drops, right? And you could see it better on a 3-minute. This is where the news drops, right here. News drops here, Square and Apple News gaps. What do the calls do? Calls go 9 to 32-ish. So if you didn't get in that play, what do? You should automatically run to PayPal. What happens at PayPal? Wow, would you look at that? Holy cow. Same exact time it rips. And those calls go 23, which Rocky called it 23. They go to 80. So just a little example of how you could play multiple things. It's the market. It's not complicated. People complicate it. There's always a dependent variable. There's always something that you're overlooking. That's how I came up with the flush. For about a year and a half, I was playing these things and I didn't realize, there's a dependent variable. There's something that's happening every single time. That's how strategies get made, guys. You do the same thing so many times, then it clicks. You're like, wait, this isn't just me doing the same thing so many times. There's more to it, right? There's something going on underneath the tape. It's literally a matrix, and you have to kind of break yourself out and really take a step back. I always say you want to see the forest and not the tree. If you're too close, you're only going to see the tree. But if you take a step back, you see the whole forest, and you get a bird's eye view kind, you see everything. So it's important not to get caught up with what's in front of you, but be able to take a step back, look at all the indexes, look at all the sectors, look at everything in general, and have everything that you need ready to go. So when it's time, you have your alerts on. This is one of the biggest things for me. People are like, how do you jump around? Look at this market summary. I have value, core, growth, large, mid, small cap, all in one. I have all equities. I have bonds, commodities, crypto. And on top of that, I have major indexes, and I could go to every Dow name. It's about being quick, like you said it. Like the line doesn't move like the gazelle. And the start of this intro of the video, you have to be there. Sun Tzu says, to hear thunder doesn't mean you hear well. To see leaves change doesn't mean you see well. Just the signs of excellence are to see beyond the keen of the common herd. You have to see it before everybody or you're average. And if you're average, you might as well buy some S&P 500 shares, sit back and don't stress, because this isn't a game. A lot of people, the trading game, this is not a game, guys. This is real fucking life. This is real money. There are real consequences. You either get it or you get left. And if you want it, you'll work harder than the next man. And I guarantee you, nobody in here wants it more than me, and I'm rich. I want it more than everybody. I work harder than the brokest person in the room because I love it. If you don't love it, like he said, you got to love the hunt. I wake up, I'm ready to find a 10-bagger. Square's going, where's PayPal? PayPal's going, where's SoFi? Upstart's going, where's Roblox? Roblox going, where's Affirm? You know what I'm saying? You have to want this, guys. It's not a game, but like I said, Rocky and me and Jake and everybody on the bus, everybody who came up here tonight, it's awesome. I mean, make sure you find good information. There's plenty of it. Make sure you take in what people have to say and, you know, really enjoy it. I always say it's called fishing, not catching. You know, if it was called catching, every day you went on the boat, you catch some crazy shit. It's called fishing, not catching. Enjoy the waves. If you're out there long enough, you'll catch something. So that's basically it. Yet again, I appreciate you, Rocky, everybody. I appreciate all you guys, genuinely. And let's find a bagger tomorrow.
Beautiful, Nessa. I appreciate you, bro. That was awesome. Yeah, and you know, besides these plays are kind of hard, so you have to understand who the sympathies are in case you miss that initial move, right? Like you have to jump on it fast, and it can be a matter of seconds, and then you get dumped on, and then you're holding the bag. So you gotta practice this shit. You gotta know what you're doing. Go into it with a plan. If you're gonna play news, you gotta be ready. It's not for the everyday person that's just like gonna go to work in their 9 to 5 and then come back in the afternoon, you know. But I will say most of the trades that we've talked about tonight, these guys came in there with a plan. They knew what ticker they were gonna play before they played it. They knew what levels they had. They knew what trend lines they had, channels, all that shit. Like people have a tendency, at least from what I see, to just jump onto somebody else's trade, taking somebody's alert and not actually learning anything. And then what happens? You don't know when to get out. You don't know what the price targets are. You don't know shit. And then you end up going from 100% to negative 20 in a matter of 30 seconds. And then you blame your fucking furu, whoever, for bagging you. And that's not the case. You're just an idiot for doing that. So, Nasa, I appreciate you, man. That was freaking awesome. If you have any questions for him, hit him up on Twitter. You might be lucky to catch an invite to the bus every now and then. I doubt it. But I really appreciate it, man. That was awesome. I was going to have Stock Sniper talk next, but it looks like he lost power. So that's kind of really all I got. Hang on a second. That's really all I got for tonight, guys. I don't want to keep you much longer. It's been over an hour. So I really appreciate everybody coming. My name is Alan Biverson. If y'all have any questions at all, or if you're just getting started and you're not profitable or whatever, hit me up. I'm happy to work with you one-on-one. I'm trading free. I'm teaching for free until the end of the year. I made a commitment to that and I'm sticking with it. So yeah, y'all just hit up these guys. I'm going to post all their YouTube links, their websites, whatever I can find and get them, you know, let's promote these guys because they're the real freaking deal. All right. So I appreciate everybody for coming. We're going to go ahead and cut it off here. Yeah, if y'all have any questions, just hit me up. All right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great night.